Hey comrades, hope you're all doing well. So we're picking up where we left off with Modern Warfare, the remake or remaster. No, it's just the new one. The Modern Warfare, it's like a totally different game with like, they took like the skins of beloved characters and put them on terrible characters. And again, I'm going to repeat this throughout, except for Ghost and Gaz, who in the first couple of games, or in like the original good games, have like nothing really going on. Like they exist and they make some side comments, but they don't have like personalities or do much, to be honest. They just kind of hang out and say some stuff occasionally, but very occasionally. Like I barely remember them. And then I even went and like looked up some of their history on like the fandom site that I use to like double check myself if I'm like, am I missing something? Or like, because a lot of these new games have like all the integration with like the Warzone and like these like strange strike missions they have after the main campaign that I'm not really invested in. Oh, on that note, this happened this time? No, it happens after this one. Okay. So, and it kind of hits it at him. But then I was like, am I misremembering how, like, are Gaz and Ghost, like, more important in the original? And, like, they are not. They just kind of exist. So I actually like Ghost, period. So whoever wrote Ghost in this one, in this new one, like, he might be the best part of, like, the newer games. I'm thinking he is, yeah. And then Gaz isn't bad either. Like literally just not bad. Like he's just like some guy. He's doing his job. He like says some stuff. You play him, so he's more of like a silent. He is like the most silent of like the main cast, like the main four guys. In that he like makes comments on stuff occasionally, but he's almost like he's almost like the newest member or the youngest member. Which Soap I think is supposed to be younger if I remember correctly. I looked this up at some point. I think so. I think he enlisted very young. But then he has only been around, I think he's only been for like 9-10 years, maybe 12. And then Gaz, I think, has been in for like 14. And then Ghost has been in around, Ghost is like a complete mystery box. Because there's like no information in any of these games or anything I could dig up about him. But I'm going to suppose he's roughly been in about 10 years as well, which I'll get into a whole rant about that later. And then Price has been in like almost 20 years. Okay. Something like that. So this one is, out of all three games, I enjoyed this one the most. The story is still like hot shit, but playing through it and just like the guys and I feel like it did the least amount of character assassination, even though it does do character assassination on Price, like a decent amount. Like on Soap, it's not as much. Like, because again, it's like Soap. The issue with Soap is that in the good Modern Warfare games, in the first game, he is just like a blank you. Like, you just play him. He doesn't like make comments or anything. And in the second game, he takes more of a predominant role, interacting with people and doing stuff. But he's still like the main character. So you're not getting like you still play as him for a decent portion of the game, along with this other guy, like Roach. And then in the third game, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think he goes back to being the main character. So you play him. So he doesn't have like a lot of personality, but I don't really like the personality they gave him in these games. Like, I feel like it doesn't fit the limited amount of time he has character in like the second original game. But again, it's like there's not a lot to really ruin. He's just kind of like a cipher for the player, for the most part, for most of like the games. And then he's a total badass. So he's much less of a badass in these games, which is like the greatest sin. But not nearly as much as like Captain Price, who goes from being one of the greatest characters of gaming history to just like a simping bitch for like a 45-year-old lesbian. and like a 35-year-old, I don't know, man boy, femboy. Like, it's so embarrassing. But a lot of that bad stuff happens in the first and third of these new ones. So the second one, he kind of just like exists. He does simp a lot, but not as bad as in like the others, in my opinion. So I played through all three of these like back to back, and at the end I was like, the second one's the best. And then I rewatched these videos, and I'm like, all these games got much worse when I like reviewed them to like write these scripts to talk about them. All of them got much worse than just playing through them. Because there's something about just like shooting things that my brain like shut off. But like when I have to just sit there and pay attention, more focused attention to like and like rewatch stuff to make sure I'm catching things, and then to like get on the fandom to make sure to like triple check that I'm not missing something. It's like, okay, I watched this whole cutscene, but is there something from somewhere else that I missed? I'm not going to go back through all these videos and like rewatch them again. And it's like, nope, I didn't miss anything. It's trash. The second one still, it's hard. I'd say the second one's still the best. Because when you combine gameplay and story, now the story, yep. All right, so we move up from 2019 to 2022. So it's been 3 years since the timeline of the first Modern Warfare game, which released in 2019. It took place in 2019, and then this one takes place in 2022 because it's 2022. Get it? Oh boy. Anyway. So we start the game with my boy Ghost, who again is the best character in all these games because he just has a good character. He sticks with that character. He's a badass. He doesn't put up with people's shit necessarily. He knows his place in the chain of command, but he like rolls his eyes a lot, and he's like inspiring at one point, like, which is something that Captain Price never does in any of these games, which again is embarrassing because he's so fucking badass. And I wrote the script for the next one, for Modern Warfare 3, and I have a whole monologue, so I'm just going to save it for there. I'm going to try to not get into it here. It's like real hard not to talk about how disappointed this was and how this really is just this awful series goes beyond just being bad and boring to like insulting. But again, the confusing thing is Ghost and Gaz Gaz is written fine, right? And Ghost is written well, I would say. And so clearly there was somebody in this like writing room who was a competent writer who could have like saved this game from itself, but they chose not to listen to, or the person just like, I've done my piece, all I care about is Ghost, and Ghost is my love. So anyway, Ghost is an we start the game, and he's an Al Mazrah. Al Mazrah? I think it's Al Mazrah. But don't worry if you've never heard of Al Mazrah before, because neither have I, because it doesn't exist. It was a popular Warzone map, which is why so much of this second game takes place here. Now, I think it's a map from like a Black Ops game, but it could be from Modern Warfare 1. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't look into it that much because I don't give a fuck. But the thing that is infuriating is that you have Black Ops, but they're not pulling this bullshit like these guys. Like maybe that open world game from Black Ops 6 is actually a Warzone map, but the open worldness of that one level in the game was so fucking fun and different and like smooth, and it had park. So it's like, even if it was, all's forgiven. The way they handle it in these games is just kind of trash. It's just like reused assets or whatever. Anyway, so Ghost is here to take out some high priority target as part of Task Force 141. And we also get introduced to this point to Shadow Company, who is led by General Shepard, which I have a whole rant about that, and then this Graves douchebag. So now, for those of you who played the original games, you'll recognize Shepard. And yes, if you're familiar with him, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it does happen. So, fun. Anyway, Graves is the commander of Shadow Company, and he's like a toady for Shepard as well. So the Shadow Company is supposed to be some like private military company that Graves like runs, even though he's like very hands-on in like its day-to-day operations. And in this, so he's usually in Modern Warfare 2, he's almost always like running out of like a vehicle. So in this one, he's in some sort of like truck or missile, like a HIMARS kind of situation. Like he's running out of some missile truck. Anyway, so go back to Ghost, who is like spying on the Russians. Of course it's the Russians. And they're making some sort of deal for something in this like make-believe Arab country or whatever. Just kidding. It's Iran. So we're gonna have all these make-believe fake Afghanistan, fake Kosovo fucking countries that are part of the Soviet bloc, but then we're gonna have the Russians in Russia and the Iranians. And it's like, what kind of bullshit propaganda is this? It's so stupid, man. Like, I don't know if they got a grant from the CIA, or the CIA is like heavily involved in trying to like warp people's minds. But it's like, we can't be offensive to like the Afghani people who we've been at war with essentially for 20 years, or Al Qaeda, who we fund, to be fair. But the Iranians and Russians, go hog. Fucking, they're the devil, but not Al Qaeda. No, Al Qatale, because we don't want to be offensive to Al Qaeda brothers who took over Syria for us. Get the fuck out of here. It's fucking games. Anyway, so Graves starts off and he shoots a missile. Actually, we as Ghosts, we sneak up on this mission, we're watching it, and then we use like a supporter scope to laser target this meetup so that Graves can launch a missile, sealing the death of all these guys, which ends like the prologue section, which is pretty short. We then jump ahead, because this is like in March, I think, 2022. So we jump ahead to like October 2022, and this is where we take over Soap. Yay, finally, hell yeah. Brother, we finally get Soap after a whole fucking game with no Soap. So that's good. And like I said, Soap gets a personality, and I don't like it, but it's still nice. I'd still rather play him than fucking Alex or Farah or whatever, like these god-awful characters. Gaz is alright. I didn't mind playing him in the first game. So, like I said, they kind of sabotage his character just by making him like not interesting and not as badass as he was in the previous game, and more of like, he almost comes across more of just like some fucking like soccer hooligan who just like stumbled his way in here instead of being a guy who, like, by the record in these new games, is one of the most elite, greatest. He's like gone to like 500 schools. He has like the Medal of Honor from like the Queen of England and all this shit, and he just acts like a dumb goofball who's always like, oops, I dropped the sniper rifle, oh, I'm gonna blah blah blah. Like, it's kind of stupid. It's like more hipster goofery, right? Not as bad as Price or goddamn Alex, but still not good at all. So Soap is with this this Marine Special Forces guys. MARSOC is what they call themselves, and there apparently is a new Iranian leader who's just kind of hanging out in Al Mazrah again. All this time later, not in Iran. For some reason, he has to be in Al Mazrah because we got that map, and so we're just going to do it. We can't call it Iran for some insane reason. And this guy's name is Hassan, and he's kind of he's like the main antagonist for this story for a lot of it. So we land in Al Mazrah, and Soap leads his little team, and they go kill, 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 kill. Then all of a sudden, Al Qatala shows up. Yay! Al Qatala, fucking Al Qatala. So we kill them, and then we gotta like defend this spot. We get pinned down by snipers for a while, and then so we call in like a strike. After the strike, we head on in. Ghost is like met up with us at this point, and then it's like, oh no, these are American ballistic missiles that the Iranians were trying to take. And at this point, the first time I was like, pause, okay, game. Just so you know, the ballistic missiles, the hypersonic missiles is actually what they are, which are better than ballistic missiles that Iran currently is using and has used against Israel. So we know for a fact they exist in like real life, right now. They are far superior to the ballistic missiles that the Americans are using. So much so that the Department of Defense and Pentagon had a real freak out when they were like, oh shit, they actually really do, like, people know that these people have missiles that are better than our missiles and can get past like our Patriot missile systems. Ruh-roh. So question number one, why would the Iranians be stealing these missiles that are far inferior to them? And it's like, this game treats Iran like it's one of these like shithole countries that has been consistently destroyed, like Afghanistan, right? Like, not shithole as in like anything they've done, but by the wave of hand of like America and Russia and other countries interfering with them, it has become a shithole. And it's like, Iran is like a first world country where people can get like medical like heart transplants, right? And they have like healthcare and homes and jobs and shit going down. And just because Bilderberg's decided Iran's got to fall because they're like an actual country that has actual stuff going on, and they're a threat to like your power base because they don't give a fuck about you assholes in like Europe and whatnot. Like, we're gonna insert all this propaganda against them. Like, there's some like shitty third world country that has like people living in huts under like extreme Muslim oppression. But we're never gonna call it that because that's offensive to all the Muslims we're importing. I could go all day on this. These games have so much fucking propaganda, and not like Like it is like night and day. So Black Ops continuously is like bringing shit up that like, wow, I can't believe they let them produce this game. And then I guess to make up for it, they call it, the Modern Warfare games are like filled to the brim with CIA talking points and CIA bullshit and like oligarchic like glad handing, like that you would get straight out of like Davos or like the Bilderberg situation and whatnot. Like, get the fuck out of here, game. It's so offensive. Anyway, at that point, Ghost calls Laswell about it, about the missiles, and then her and Shepard have like concerns about the missiles. Okay. So at that point, Laswell contacts Gaz and Price, who just happen to be like hanging out over in Amsterdam. And out there, there's this Al-Qatala barge that's just like roaming around the canals, hanging out, that no one really is doing anything about. And then it's parked, and so we get to play as Gaz now. And in this part, we get to be all sneaky, which this part was awful, not well done at all. But we get in the water, we get out of the water. We're supposed to like kill all the guards on the docks so that we can like sneak into the boat. But you can literally get caught like 500 times, and there's like patrol boats, and you can just like massacre everybody. So like there's no consequences to your actions whatsoever. So you go ahead and do what you want in this level. I try to be sneaky because I enjoy it more. But at some point, it was just easier to just like stand on a dock with like a gun with a scope and just shoot everybody before I had to like a chance to sneak up on them, and they would be like alerted, but then they would be dead. So like, who gives a fuck? So again, not very good. It's very half-baked. Anyway, after killing all the guards and stuff, Price meets up with us again. We approach the ship, and we find that Al-Qatala has teamed up with the Los Alamos cartel. Yes, we're bringing the cartels into this. Hell yeah. And this is part of the reason why this game's good, actually. Not because of the cartels per se, but because we get Mexican Special Forces guys, and they're badass. And then we get some bad guys, some of these cartel bad guys, and they're cool too. And I'm like, damn, I wish the game was just this. Fuck. All this Al-Qatala, Iran, Russia bullshit, it does nothing. It's so poorly done, so poorly adapted. They're just like stumbling around, like having no clue what to do, making up like fake things to like not offend some enemy of the United States who's actually a friend of the United States because they got the CIA talking points. They need to make sure they talk about the right fucking thing. But cartels, go blanche. Go blanche the cartels. Fuck the cartels, apparently. Which makes me be like, you know what? Maybe the cartels aren't so fucking bad. Because if the CIA hates them so much that they want this game to make us hate them, then maybe they're the good guys in the grand scheme of things. Like, honest to God. Like, whenever I see, like, anything like this, I'm like, wait a second. Are the cartels the good guys in Mexico? Like, have I been deceived? I'm not immune to propaganda. And I see shit like this, and I'm like, huh. They really want me to hate the cartels in this game. Like, why? They don't want me to hate Al-Qatala that much. They're barely in the game. But the Russians, Iranians, the cartels, fuck those guys. Very interesting. Anyway, we kill through the cartel, and we find a phone with a text indicating that there's a meeting in 1 hour at a nearby cafe with somebody from Al-Qatala that's going to involve these missiles, perhaps. So we got to go check that out. So an hour later at the cafe, Price is watching this meeting go down, and he's getting like the earpiece full from Laswell and such. Then when the targets start moving out, Gaz and Laswell secretly take out some of the target's guards, and eventually we follow them and take possession of the target so that we can interrogate them about where's the missiles and what's going on and all that stuff. And at this point, we find out that there's like, we gotta like, Kazan is like in Mexico, and that the cartels are gonna like get him across the border so he can go to the U.S. for some reason. And so we switch over to Mexico, and we get to play as Rodolfo, who is a sergeant major in the Mexican Special Forces, and he works directly with Colonel Vargas. I can't remember his first name, like Alejandro Vargas, I think, or something. But yeah, they're members of the Mexican Special Forces, like the Green Berets, essentially. And this, like I mentioned before, this part's pretty badass. Like, we get to play them. They're like stalking around. They see some dudes climbing up on top of like the big wall fence thingy, with like the pylons or whatever. And they got ladders, and so I feel like they really nailed these characters. Like, they're pretty good. I have no beef with them whatsoever. They're like, I'd rather just have Modern Warfare, and then we get to play as like the Mexican Special Forces fighting cartels. That would have been 1,000 times a better game than these games turned out to be. These guys act like Latinos, like they're fucking alpha as shit, and they don't put up with nonsense. They're not like fiddle dicking around. They don't have any hipster goofery or anything. They're just like some badasses that act like fucking heroes. Like, it's like incredible. It's like I'm playing a totally different goddamn game. like 100 times better than any of the games that got introduced, any of the characters that got introduced in the first game. Like no one's like simping for my lady or any of that bullshit. No, they just like go and get the fucking job done, and they like help each other out, and like, you know, they back each other up, and they're, you know, they're like noble and fucking fantastic. Yeah, so then so Vargas gets contacted by Laswell to stop the border crossing of Hassan into the United States. And then the police are getting distracted with like a failed border breach, essentially. And so Vargas and Rodolfo have to go like chase these boys down by themselves. And we find him crossing the border. We head over the ladder. We kind of sneak around this like American town in the south because they have no jurisdiction. So everything they're doing when they cross the border is like 100% illegal because they're not supposed to be over here. But, you know, helping a friend out. And again, it's like we have this task force 141 just specifically to deal with this. They couldn't get like CIA like approval for these guys to be there. No, we can't because this game's poorly written. But whatever. So yeah, we chase them through a border town. We get like we fight cartel guys. There's like a scene where like in an alleyway and a truck comes pouring in and they start firing at us. Several gunfights. It's pretty good. We kill. Eventually we get to the safe house and kill all the guards around there. And Vargas is like, hey, I'm going to hang out here, obviously, because we're playing Rodolfo. So it's time for him to go in. So we go in, we kill some more dudes, and eventually we get ambushed. And it's Hassan! Fucking Hassan. And he says he's going to burn the house down. Like, they're like, let's kill this motherfucker, like the cartel guys. And Hassan's like, no. Let's burn him to death. And then he tells Rodolfo, this part is so ridiculous. Hassan is like, hey, this guy you've never heard of in this country you've never been to on the other side of the planet that has nothing to do with Mexico or you or anything, I'm going to burn you alive for that guy. And Rodolfo, in my head, is like, who the fuck is that guy? That guy's like, I know, like, this game is so poorly written. Like, Hassan's talking to me, the player of the game, who does know what he's talking about. But why the fuck, like, this hit from this, like, top secret organization that they're like the Los Vaqueros. Why the fuck would they know about this random hit by like a complete, not even like America, like a totally like on the like a British organization essentially on the other side of the planet is killing this guy in some country where there's like constant warfare apparently, and then some guy got like blown up by like a PMC group. Like the fuck would this guy? Does Rodolfo have anything to do with that? Like. Jesus. It's so stupid. I think it's knocked out. Rodolfo awakens a bit later to Vargas, like calling out for him. And Rodolfo's like, hey, go get Hassan. He's crossing the border. Yes. He gets crossed over the border, comes to the safe house, and then they like cross him back over to Mexico. What the fuck? So stupid. Oh my gosh. At least Vargas is cool. He's like, nah, brother, I'm gonna come save your ass, and he does. What an awesome guy. So instead of chasing the guy, he goes and helps his brother out. Because again, let's go back to the whole scenario where it's like these guys are like doing the CIA mommy like a favor, but it's like I don't give a fuck about Hassan or any of this shit. Like what has nothing to do with Mexico. I need to take care of these cartels and do whatever else, right? But I'm just trying to help you out, but I'm not gonna like let my guy die. Like, why? Why the fuck would I chase after this random guy that I hardly know anything about instead of saving like my best friend, my sergeant major, the guy who like helps lead my entire force? Like that's stupid shit. Like, why would I do that? And then they talk about how there's that Rodolfo, before the house burned down, that they did find some information about Hassan bringing something to America via some sort of ship. And that after he was gonna come over here and like just make a phone call, I guess he headed back to Mexico. I still can't. He went right back to Mexico. Why the fuck did he cross over? It's so stupid. Oh my goodness. So we literally chased this guy over the border, and then and then we're gonna chase him right the fuck back. God damn, so stupid. This is the best written. Current, like a modern day Modern Warfare, by the way. The best one. Lord Christ. It's so dumb. Anyway, so Soap and Ghost are here so we had to head back to Mexico. So Soap and Ghost are back here in Mexico, and we're back to controlling Soap. I think that's the last time we control Adolfo. It was good while it lasted, folks. But that's it. We need to find out what Hassan is doing and figure out precisely what he's trying to deliver to the U.S. and where is it going to go and all this stuff. And Graves, along with Shadow Company, is also here to help. So at this point, we get like the most ridiculous thing in this game thus far. And that's like we get a little tour of Los Alamos, where the cartel's like in charge. So Vargas is just like driving along, and I don't know where Rodolfo's at. He like is off doing something else. But we got this other guy, this like staff sergeant, who's driving us around. Vargas is like talking about like, oh, the reason why, and then we get like a lecture. We get like a lesson. Why won't Mexico do anything about the cartels? Why won't they do that? Because I don't know, El Salvador, which is a country like 1/50th the size of Mexico, was able to completely eradicate all their gangs and bring peace to the land. But for some reason, Mexico, which has a huge army, which is like the third biggest military force, I think it's the third in like the Western Hemisphere, can't deal with a couple of like these rapscallions in these like border towns. And I can tell you exactly why Mexico hasn't done shit about it. It's not because the people like them or because they treat the people well or any of this like bullshit that we get from Vargas as we're driving around in this like small border town. It's because they're CIA fronts, and Mexico's in on it. Like, so they're specifically there to cause problems so the CIA can do bullshit and get away with it and like bring drugs in and cause destabilization in America and whatnot. That's why the cartels exist. That's the only reason. They could be gone tomorrow. Mexico, the United States doesn't have to do shit. Mexico, the country of Mexico, which is a first world country, by the way, that has beautiful cities and is like extremely safe, could literally just like eradicate the cartels overnight if they really had the desire to do it. But they won't, because they get money from the government through the CIA to not do shit about it. And that, like, literally, this is what's happening. So all this bullshit explanation about the cartels and why they're there and why they can't do anything about it and some bullshit. Like, it's all bullshit. Like, they could take care of it tomorrow if they really felt like the need to do so. But they get so much money through the CIA from the U.S. that they don't. And that's real life. Not this honky, like, bullshit, like white female, like, opinion on, like, why this is happening. No, fuck you. Anyway, we just get more establishment propaganda about the whole situation. Like, oh, there's nothing that can be done. There's nothing to do. It is the way of life in Mexico, this like shithole country. And like, if I was Mexican, man, like, I'm pissed off for Mexicans. I'm not Mexican. I have no relation to them ever. At all. I have relations in El Salvador. I'm super Italian and Sicilian. So I got that, like, there's the Latin heritage aspect of it. But I don't give a fuck. I got like relations from Argentina. I got all that shit, right? I don't give a fuck about Mexico. But Mexico, I'm like, are you serious? Mexico is a first world country, you assholes. Stop perpetuating this myth and this propaganda given to you by the CIA, you fucking assholes. Anyway, that goes beyond this game. But I was just kind of like rolling my eyes so hard my contacts fell out during this whole fucking time period. Like, this game literally thinks I can't just like reach over onto my fucking phone, my little computer that I have in my pocket, and Google this shit and find out the real information. It's so fucking bad. This part is so bad. But it's not bad as in it's poorly written. It's just bad as in it's like the myth of the noble savage kind of bad, where it's like people believe this shit, right? And I can't blame them because they're so propagandized, and they just have, and then they're so like overwhelmed with like social media and all this other shit that is like not entertaining, but like, you know, fulfills like the need for like a dopamine charge or like a serotonin charge or whatever in your brain, right? Anyway, so I gotta stop talking about all this bullshit. It's nothing to do with this goddamn piece of shit game. Anyway, so we finally arrive somewhere else at the different village where Hassan is supposed to be being kept, and so then we just kill our way around. We eventually find a house where he's supposed to be at, but he's not there. And then we get a warning that the Mexican army... Oh, my God, I forgot about this. Read my goddamn script. So we get a warning that the Mexican army is on its way to kill us. And when I say us, I don't mean Task Force 141. I mean the fucking Los Vaqueros, the Special Forces unit of Mexico, the country. Because the cartel paid it off. The fuck are you talking about? The fuck is so bad. Vargas and Rodolfo are the Mexican army, you dipshits. What the fuck? They're special forces. This is like if the 82nd Airborne Division got paid off by some mafiosos to fight Delta Force. Like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, it would never happen. Not in a million years. Mexico's not some corrupt shithole country that, like, goddamn, dude, this is so offensive. Like, this is literally retarded. Like, Infinity Ward has like a mental disease. Like, the fuck is wrong with you people? It's so stupid. It makes no sense. Anyway, goddamn this game. So we fight off the first wave. Yep, there's plenty of waves. We kill so many. We're SOAP, right? We're not American. We're not fucking Mexico. We're nothing. We're some task force based out of Europe. And we're an ex-SA, or like, I don't know if we're currently SAS, but I think we're in multinational group, even though we're all British. I think Ghost is from America. He doesn't have an accent that I can really pin, unless it's like Australian. Anyway, so we kill wave after wave of like these 82nd Airborne Division troops, infantry guys, have been paid off by the fucking Mexican cartel. Stupid shit. But finally, it's like, all right, time to make a break for it. So we run, we kill more guys, we run some more, we kill some more guys. The sniper eventually gets us pegged down. Oh, wait, no. We get attacked by snipers, kill them. Then we get pegged down by a helicopter, which causes one of our, Santiago or whatever, the sergeant, he gets killed. And then we jump into the river and have to float around there, and we kill more dudes. And we're about to get overwhelmed when Graves finally shows up and saves our asses. He just murks everybody. And then we get more intel on, like, where Hassan... Oh, yeah, and Graves is flying around like an A-10. No, like, it's like a combat AC-130, which is like, yeah, those exist, but we still fucking use A-10s. And this is 2022. This is like 3 years later, we're still using those shits. Like, just use an A-10 like in the original game. Like, you're... Who advised you on this military shit, man? Like, they need to be fired. They need to be fired right fucking now. So... They are almost as dumb as the writers. Like, some of the stuff they try to pull in this game. And I have a whole rant later. Don't you fret. I remember writing it. Let's see. Oh, he has intel. We don't have intel. He's got intel for some reason. So it's off to find Hassan. And so at this point, we switch over to the A-130 gunship. And we take over as like one of these airmen that's just like manning the guns, right? And so it's a typical thing we got from that was done much better in the original Modern Warfare games, where we're just like, we have 3 different rounds. We have like the 150 millimeter, the 40 millimeter, and the 25 millimeter rounds, and we just like fire down into the ground. And we got like an IR sensor, and then like the guys we're not supposed to shoot have like a blinking IR sensor so that we know not to shoot them. And then the biggest complaint I have about this is, unlike the original games where it's like it shows up and it's fucking awesome and then it's over, this is like, it drags on for so goddamn long. Like, it's like 2 or 3 different maps we go to, and we just keep doing the same thing. And every map's the exact same thing. It's like, there's some guys over there, shoot them. Oh, there's some guys firing rockets at us. All right, shoot them next. All right, there's some guys coming out of that building. Oh, nope, not that building. Don't shoot the building. You can't destroy the buildings. All right, these guys are going to go in. We got to just kill dudes so don't get surrounded by that building. And it just drags ass. Holy shit, man. Anyway, eventually we and the boys down on the ground, we kill, and they finally capture Hassan, and then Rodolfo shows up for the exfil, and then we continue to follow them. Like I said, this is like now we're on to like map 2, and just drags. They hit like a town, Almeidas or something is what they said. And at that point, they get rammed. They get out. There's like another map. It's like more of the cartel is showing up. And then it's like the Mexican army, and we're just like killing. We're like in a fucking battleship in the goddamn sky, firing down into Mexico on Mexican soldiers who were paid off by the cartel. And it's just like, it's fine. And it gets more offensive here in a minute. Because we're just killing. We kill like hundreds of these like Mexican forward and raised soldiers who got their commander got paid off to like think that we're the enemy or some bullshit or whatever. It's never fully explained. We blow up a bunch of helicopters and this shit. And eventually our helicopters show up to rescue the boys in Hassan. And then the boys take them to like a secure location. They call Laswell and Shepard so they can interrogate him. But they get nothing from Hassan. And then the most offensive fucking thing about this whole thing is they get told they have to let him go and they cannot kill him and they cannot bring him in. And the reasoning why we have to let him go is retarded, just like everything else in this goddamn game and all these games and all the Modern Warfare games, not the Black Ops games. Black games are Beautiful. All right. So the reason why we have to let him go is because Mexico is not at war with Iran. And then I, as Soap, in my head, look over at Ghost. Both of us are talking about killing this guy. And it's like, the fuck do I care? I'm not Mexican or Iranian. In fact, we just killed like an entire division of fucking Mexican soldiers in Mexico. Like, what? We can't just like blame that on Hassan and leave his body here as if like what? Who's gonna like we have to let this guy go? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, why? Why are we letting him go? What? That's like hundreds. We killed hundreds, if not over 1,000 Mexican troops and Al-Qatala guys who were just around. There's like a sea of blood and ash everywhere around us. God, this goddamn story is so bad. If it's like, nope, you gotta let them go. There's nothing we can. Our hands are tied. We're a force that works outside the law and does what the fuck we want. But in this one situation with this specific individual, there's nothing we can do. Nothing we can goddamn do. Get the fuck out of here. Stupid ass shit. At least Laswell got something from like his cell phone or something. And that there's like a base in Spain, like a cartel base. So the last this game, the Los Alamos cartel has like a base, like a working military base in fucking Spain, like with the whole shipping center and everything. And at this point, I'm like, fuck it, sure, why not? Let's just go do that. Who cares? Oh man, it's so bad. So Price and Gaz are gonna go check out this fucking harbor out in Spain that the cartel's running or whatever, and they're being joined by Laswell, like this 50-year-old woman. Like the fuck? Why? And then so they try to justify it. Her justification is super retarded. It's so retarded that even Price, Cuck Price, in this game questions it. I mean, he questions it for like 1 second, but he still questions it, which is like, yeah, why the fuck are you coming? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. It kind of reminds me of Cold War, which is a Call of Duty game, like it is like an official 100% Black Ops game, and it's 1,000 times better than this game could ever imagine being. And it's this whole thing. Jesus Christ. So it's this whole line of thinking where Laswell's like, well, I'm going to come because this thing's illegal. I got to watch your back and make sure something. Right, that's justification. Justification is I have to come and get you guys back because we're going into like an allied American country and we're gonna start like killing dudes, which is 100% illegal. So I need to be there, because to make it like more legal or to like help something. And then in Call of Duty Cold War, there's this whole scene at the beginning of the game where the government, they're like Adler and Woods are like and Alex are like chatting about doing stuff to stop Perseus Group or Perseus. Or whatever, and the government guy's like, that's illegal. And Woods and Adler and Mason all look at each other and just laugh. It's like that meme with Ray Liotta in it from Goodfellas. And then the president looks over at the guy and he's like, shut the fuck up. And he then turns to Woods and is like, unlimited funds, go crazy. God damn, I miss Reagan. Anyway. Oh my gosh. So anyway, that beta male Price, and unfortunately Gaz, who's being character assassinated as we speak, just like, all right, sure, you're completely unqualified, untrained, untested, haven't been out in the field doing shit in decades because you're like a 50-year-old lesbian. From like, stop her from like, no, you stay home, man. Oh yeah, the lesbian thing, I haven't brought that up yet. That comes up, right? Because she's a woman, I guess. She has to be a lesbian. I don't know. Like, it's literally, they're just, like, chit-chatting about whatever. And then she's like, oh, my wife. And I was like, oh, God damn. Call of Duty Modern War. Infinity Ward, you used to be such a great company. Like, what the fuck happened? I know everybody left, right? I know it's one of those things where this is not the Infinity Ward that made the Modern Warfare games or the original Call of Duty World War II games. This is, like, a name slapped on a pig. And they're like, enjoy the princess. Would you like a kiss from the princess? And you're like, that's a pig, motherfucker. And it's like, no. It says princess on it. You're a bigot. Jesus Christ. So Gaz and Price, they gilly it up, and it's time for a sniper level. And this is the second worst sniper level I've ever played in a Call of Duty game. The first one being the first Modern Warfare game. And that stupid desert fucking road to death bullshit. Oh my gosh. I love sniper levels. I'm not gonna lie. And And it's better, like I said, it's better, but it's such a slog. Like, it's not enjoyable. And you're like always on these like hills where it's very easiest to see you. And it's like, it takes so much effort to like to kill these things. Like, it's not just like, okay, cool, here's a cool sniper level. We're gonna go up, snipe, go here, kill, snipe. It's like we're literally like crawling on the ground all the fucking time, right? And not in like a tense way, just like, hey, if I stand up at all, then I'm gonna have the entire army, the entire cartel is gonna fly in from fucking Mexico and assault my ass. It's so bad, man. Eventually we kill our way through a couple different places, find drugs, find some other stuff. We're not finding the missiles at all. But then there's a lighthouse that we eventually go to. And once we're in there, there's a cavern system that leads down to these docks. And when we get down there, we start to find that, like, wait a second, these aren't all cartel members, but also there's a bunch of Al-Qatala. There's a bunch of Al-Qaeda guys down here. So we kill our way through them, and we find a sub. Holy shit, a sub. And Gaz's like, whoa, there's a sub. And then Price is like, it's too small for a missile. And this is some sort of like dig or callback to the original Call of Duty games, because there's a point where you go into like a sub to send off a nuclear missile, and it's fucking awesome. And this is like, it's literally like you have a giant nuclear sub. Right, I'm gonna get Freudian on you guys. Like, I'm a therapist. So in the first game, they're rocking this giant dick, right, which is symbolized by the nuclear missiles and the high stakes and this giant sub. And then this game, which is made by a bunch of beta cucks, is clearly because they got this tiny little dick sub, literally, and it not even big enough to hold like one missile or do shit. And they're like, I think they mean it as some sort of own on the original game, like they don't have anything to prove. And I'm like, you got a lot of stuff to prove, and this submarine is not helping your case. Because you obviously think it's an acceptable size. And this is why you can't get laid. It's at this point that Laswell is like, uh-oh, there's some Al-Qatala ships approaching me, obviously, because I'm just sitting out on a fucking ship watching things. And then you have the cartel and Al-Qaeda and everybody. And so, of course, they approach. And, of course, she gets captured. And it's like, why the fuck were you here? You didn't do shit. Why? Why are you here? And there's no missiles. We lose Laswell, and it's like, oh my god, damn, dude. And then the boys get together, and so Gaz and Price are like, all right, well, we gotta do a rescue now, because strong empowered woman, girl boss, had to like come along with her like cane and her fucking, you know, not Alzheimer's medication, her arthritis medication to help out. Which she did shit all but get caught and make like all these more problems. And I'm literally just sitting there watching this happen, and I'm like, well, I got 99 problems. But you know how it goes. Anyway, so Price is gonna go and get Laswell back. He needs to go get Mommy back because Mommy's in trouble, and he can't do anything without Mommy, right? It's worthless. She's worthless in this games. Like, she's not just a boring character. She's a bad character that doesn't do shit. And then it's like, now we gotta go save her. Why? Why are we saving her? She doesn't do shit. Ugh, whatever. And he's gonna get her back no matter what. That's how he acts. Oh, he's so insistent. Jesus. Man, the only reason we're going to get her back, the only reason she got kidnapped is so more plot can happen. It's so poorly written. Man. And then it gets even worse. Because then it's like, okay, we got to rescue her. And then Shepard is like, let's see, does that happen yet? Okay, so... Oh, we'll get to why it's worse. I'll get there. Don't worry. So there's a blackmail video that gets put out. It's from Al-Qaeda. They're like, look, we got this Laswell bitch. What are you going to do about it? And then Shepard says, well, nothing we can do to help her out. And I'm like, and she doesn't do shit, so I don't give a fuck. But Price needs to get his mommy back. And so he's like, hell no. Nothing will stop me and my boy Gaz. And Gaz was like, Nani desu ka? And so he's like, we're going to go. And then Shepard's like, all right, well, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm not going to help you. And he's like, we don't need your help. We have someone far better. And that someone far better is dun, dun, dun. Whoa, Farah. God damn. Farah's back. She sucks so bad. Oh, god damn. Okay, well, Nikolai shows up, picks up Gaz and Price, and we're going to go join up with the Afghanistan Freedom Police, who have failed at freedoming Afghanistan for over 20 years now, if not longer. And guess what? Al-Qaeda, for some reason, we're in Spain. Let me remind you again, we're in Spain. And she got captured on a boat, and we sat around so the boat could travel all the way to somewhere else. Because let me tell you this, Afghanistan is not connected to the ocean. So they took her somewhere else, put her in like a car, and drove her through multiple countries, taking, I don't know, a week or two to get her to fucking Afghanistan, just so they can leave Afghanistan? Which is what they do. We're literally in a race to capture them with the Freedom Force from Afghanistan because they're about to leave Afghanistan. And if they leave, then the Freedom Force can't come help us. And I'm like, why is she there? Why did they take her there just to like remove her from there? Like none of this is explained. None of it makes any sense. It's stupid as shit. Why did the cartel just take her back to Mexico? That would make the most logical sense. And then we could get more Vargas and Rodolfo, who are awesome. God, fucking Farah. That's why this had to happen. I'm telling you right now. Because they're like, oh, you know what we need? You know what the player base loves? Not Farah, so we need more of her. We gotta overwhelm them with her greatness until they fucking figure it out. It's just like Ubisoft with fucking Assassin's Creed games being led by women. No one wants a women protagonist in an Assassin's Creed game. Nobody wants it, you dipshits. You failed every time you try to force it, because nobody wants it. That's not what those games are for, you dipshits. This is the same thing with this. No one wants to play fucking Farah in a Call of Duty game, assholes. Anyway. You can tell I've got a little bit of a gear to grind. All right, whatever. Okay, so yep. So we switch over to Farah. Hooray! going back across the border. I'm like reading my notes. I'm literally like, oh yeah, I got to it a little early, but there it is. Okay, so this game is ass. It is so ass. The story is so bad. And this level is so bad. It's so long and it's so boring. So we do some helicopter stuff as Gaz, and then we fall into a truck, and then we have to hop from vehicle to vehicle down this super long road that is like, the fuck? Al-Qaeda's got like, they got like 500 of these vehicles chock full of guys. They got like over 1,000 dudes with like all this armament, and they're using it all to get. This goes back to my biggest critique with World War II. It's like you spent all these resources and lost all these men and all this shit for one person. Who? Do you even know who this person is? Why would you? This 50-year-old CIA operative is not important to anything. Like, why did you just rape her and throw her in the ocean? Like, immediately. Like, the fuck you don't know she's the CIA? What? Why isn't this happening? God damn, dude. Anyway, at some point we get like a comical scene where it's not even a comical gameplay where I felt like I was playing a totally different game. There's literally a car, like I felt like I was playing Twisted Metal. There's like a big truck and it's just throwing mines out into the road and blowing up civilian vehicles, and you gotta keep dodging through that. And then eventually Nikolai flies his helicopter to block off the road to get all the SUVs to stop. And then we roll up onto the SUV with Laswell in it, and she's already fucking escaped. She girl passed her way right out of that fucking vehicle. Get the fuck out of here, Gabe. Why did any of this happen? Oh, Farah. That's right. That's why this all happened. Jesus. And then at this point, we just happen to stop right in Mazrah. And at that point, Farah's like, all right, well, I'll see you boys later. I got to go back and like liberate my country for like the 47th year in a row. Get the fuck out of here, Farah. No one likes you. God damn. Finally, after all that bullshit, we go back to Mexico. Thank God. The only decent parts of this fucking game. We're again with Soap and Ghost, and we got Graves, and there's good old Vargas, and we're looking for that pesky missile. Yep, we're still trying to find that pesky missile. It's somewhere around here somewhere. You know who might know where it's at? El Sin Nombre. Who's El Sin Nombre? It's the head of the cartel. That's right. They might know. He might know. That's right. It's not a he. It's a woman. We don't know that yet. We find it out very shortly. Sorry to spoil it, but God damn. So Soap is gonna go and get the information. What's gonna happen is the cartel's having like a big old fiesta, and they're inviting all their homies and hombres and stuff. And so Soap is gonna go in there and be like, hey everybody, I give up. I hate America and I want to give the cartel information because I want to be your friend now. And then Vargas, who's Mexican, he's just gonna get a job as a security guard at this fucking cartel thing, and no one's gonna question it. Which he does. He just is a guard in there, and he's walking around and no one questions it. God damn. And then as Soap, as we enter the thing and we're getting dragged in there because we gave herself up, Vargas pops up and he's like, hey, well, guess what? My disguise worked. And there's literally other guards like standing like 2 feet away. And then he's like, hey, when they ask you questions, be 100% honest or they will kill you. And then we get the pleasure. And this, I'm not being facetious. We get the honest to God pleasure of meeting Diego, who is, this motherfucker is a delight. The one thing I gotta give these Modern Warfare games, their like secondary antagonists are awesome. Hey Deer, is that what his name is? The brother of Farah, he was great. Diago is fantastic. And even the fucking Valeria, who is the Sicaria, quote unquote, of the cartel, she's pretty good too. I got no beef with her whatsoever. And beside him having like this girl boss, Valeria, make him look like a total bitch, he's awesome. He's got a big gut and he swaggers around like a fucking machismo Mexicano. It's so good. I was like, damn, yeah, man, I got an uncle who looks just like this motherfucker. My only complaint is we don't get enough Diego. He's fucking awesome. Anyway, we get pulled down, tied to a chair. There's a couple other guys there. And then Valeria starts asking us questions. And as long as we're honest, she's like, all right, cool, I trust you. She cuts you loose. And Diego walks back and like yells at some guys and like is really fucking machismo and awesome. And then, let's see. He takes us up to like the villa and it's just like, all right, well, we'll see you around, and he leaves and it's like, okay. And then Vargas comes up and he's like, all right, so El Nombre is going to be on the 3rd floor. We just got to find a way to get up there. There's multiple paths you can take to get this and whatnot. And then so we work our way up there, and then eventually we start killing our way up there, and then we find out that dun dun dun, that's right, Valeria is El Nombre. Wah wah wah. And I still liked her as a character for the most part, because she's like a cold-hearted bitch. And yeah, I just don't believe it though. It's not her fault per se. It's like just the writing in general. It's like, why would she be in charge of this whole operation? Like she does nothing but fail constantly when we're there. Like she's not intimidating. She's like a tiny girl. And then it's just like, okay, well, how did this happen? I don't know. The game does nothing to like justify it to me that like she would be in charge of shit. So that's the biggest disappointment. Like as just a character who exists, and we get some more information about her later. She's pretty good. She's well written, interesting. Again, it's just kind of like it's off-putting because it's like Diego should have been El Nombre or something. That would have been badass. But what can you do? Actually, no, he shouldn't have been. There should have just been a guy. It's like Farah leading the liberation force in Afghanistan of a bunch of Muslims. Like, no. That's how this fucking works. Like, what? Man, it's just kind of dumb. Only Farah sucks. Valeria is actually okay. So then we get her, we capture her, we kill our way out, and we hand her over to Shadow Company. As she's being taken away, Vargas is like, huh, I recognize her from somewhere. Later on, we get the interrogation scene. During the interrogation, it's revealed that both Valeria and Vargas started out in like the same unit. Whoa, earlier on in their careers. There was a mission. Well, Valeria was supposed to capture the head of the cartel, but instead she killed him, and then she kind of disappeared, and then she took over, and that's all the information we get. And I'm like, how did you specifically take over? Right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it could have happened, but I'd like some more explanation. Like, even if this was like a dude, like a cold-hearted big motherfucker, it's still like more than just like, oh yeah, I killed the old boss, and then there was like a grab for power, and somehow she won or he won. It's just that's the thing. It's not even about Valeria being a woman at this point. Like, if I just had some sort of explanation, I'd be like, yeah, sure, fuck it, I don't care. But there's no explanation, so it's just kind of like I have to use my mind, and it's not like a dude. It's not like a Metal Gear villain, right, with like superpowers or like extreme charisma. Like, she's not charismatic at all. Like, it's just kind of, and so I'm just like, eh. Anyway, Vargas is super butthurt about her having become the cartel and about like making deals with her or something. So he storms off. So despite all that, she goes and makes a deal with Graves. And Vargas, before he stormed off, he's like, don't make any deals with this crazy bitch. He doesn't say it like that. He's like this wonderful, precious child or some bullshit. But she does give the location of the missiles. They're in an oil rig in the Gulf of America. Hell yeah. And so we head out there. But it's time to kill. And we kill our way through this oil rig. Ghost finds he finds that the controls for the missile that is about to go off are on a ship that's like nearby the oil rig, but not actually at the oil rig. And so we got to kill some more, and then it's the launching sequence has already gone off, and it's right in the middle. So there's nothing we can do to stop it. But you know what we can do? We can shoot them. We can change where the direction. So we can't stop the missile from launching, but we can change the location of where it's going to go. That doesn't make any sense. That's okay. It's like fucking whatever. And so we program it to go hit the oil rig. We're playing as Soap this whole time. And then Vargas and his crew and Ghost, they're all able to like successfully get off the oil rig before the oil rig gets blown the shit up. And it's like, hooray, we saved it. There's just like all these chemicals from this chemical weapon in the middle of the Gulf of America and stuff. Hooray. At that point, we head back over to the Los Vaqueros base, where we find that the Shadow Company is completely taken over and imprisoned all the Los Vaqueros because we're not allowed in because dun dun dun, we've been betrayed. Oh no, or something. So you remember the good Modern Warfare 2? I hinted at this before. So it's the same thing. So the betrayal comes from Shepard down through Graves through Shadow Company, but this is done 1,000 times worse and it's far less meaningful because it's just like, you guys, hey you scamps, you're not allowed in here. Get out of here. And then we're like, no, we will not get out of here. And like, if you don't get out of here, we're going to like throw you in prison with the rest of these guys. And we're like, we're not going to go. And it's like, okay. And then they just try to imprison us. And the other one, it's like the betrayal comes out of nowhere. And it's literally, I don't want to spoil it for you. It's so fucking good. It's 1,000 times better. It's just so boring here. So then Soap starts fighting members of Shadow Company. He starts killing guys. And then he gets shot at. And he's all like, why would you shoot at me? And it's like, you literally killed members of these guys like company. These guys were probably friends. Their wives probably had like book club together. Like, the fuck do you mean? Why did they shoot you, you asshole? He then like disappears like over like a thing. Oh no. Ghost disappears. So Soap's fighting, and then Ghost is like hiding behind a truck, and he's like, go get out of here, Johnny. And then Ghost like fades into the darkness and turns into like an ethereal creature and flies away. I don't know, he just like gets the fuck out of there. And so Soap gets the fuck out of there, and then Vargas gets detained and knocked out. All right, so then, and again, let's get into it. This scene doesn't make a lot of sense, to be completely honest. So I clearly have some major problems with what's going on here, as I usually do with these stories. All right, let's think about this. They're in Mexico. Mexican Special Forces, who is the Mexican army, is going back to the Mexican base, and then some fucking American PMC group just took over their base. No one cares. And they imprisoned all these Mexican Special Forces guys. There's no like contingency plan. There's no talking to generals. There's nothing else. There's no like an order from the Department of Defense in Mexico is like, hey, you guys are to stand down. We don't want to stand down if you don't stand out. Like, there's no reasoning behind how this fucking thing happens. Like, it would be so goddamn easy to just write a fucking story where you could explain why this is happening. But the writers in this are so incompetent. They can't even come up with something that simple. Like, it could literally be like, you could have the exact same thing. So they show up. Let me write this fucking game for you, Infinity Ward. So Vargas and Ghost and fucking Soap, they show up, and Graves is there, and then Vargas is like, what are you doing on my base? And then Graves is like, it's not your base anymore. Orders came down from General whatever Garcia that we are to occupy this base. And then Vargas would be like, that's bullshit. And then they could call Shepard and could be like, the orders are in. Like, the Shadow Company runs this place. They own the thing. We're to stand down. And then Vargas would be like, my people aren't standing down. And then Graves could be like, according to these orders, if you don't stand down, we are commissioned by the Mexican army, which has already been bought off by the cartel supposedly, or Al Qaeda, Katala, or whatever. Right, so they're already corrupt. We've already established that. I don't even need to go back. You can just keep that fucking plot line, which doesn't make any sense. But so we're just gonna take it to the next logical step. All right, if you don't stand down, we have authorization from the Mexican government to arrest you, and then the rest of this could happen. It's so simple. Like, you don't even have to change that much. It's still stupid, right? But at least you're like, okay, well, fair. That makes sense. Whatever. I'd like to return for a moment, if you will, to killing Hassan. And now we couldn't kill Hassan because we didn't have authorization. Does Shadow Company have authorization to take over this base? Do they? No, they don't. They just did it. And they imprisoned like an army unit, like an army Delta Force, a Mexican army Delta Force unit, essentially. But no, we can't kill Hassan. Like, the fuck is wrong with you, writers? You are so bad. Like, things just happen because they happen. Like, you just need, like, just hire, like, some teenager and have him, like, watch some war movies. And then he'll just have him ask questions. He doesn't have to even write anything. Just have him, like, read him the story and have him be like, that don't make no sense, bruh. That ain't fire. Like, I don't know what the fuck kids are saying these days. Jesus Christ. Fucking game. All right. So then we get introduced to this crafting system that we use specifically in this level and kind of at the end for like a very short amount of time. Yeah. So Soap gets to sneak around Los Alamos, and he gets to craft items so that he can fight Shadow Company that's chasing him down while Ghost is like, they're going to meet up at some church or whatever. And Shadow Company's just fucking wandering around killing people. Like, that's right. Not only did they take over this like army base, but now they're just like killing random civilians. What? Again, you just have to write that like the Mexican general or the president is like, this needs to happen. Here's an order, and then declaring martial law. They don't do shit because it's fucking poorly written. Shadow Company is also looking for Hassan. I don't know why we just killed that motherfucker when we had the chance. Again, like, why? Why did this not happen? This game has like no fucking clue what's going on. Eventually, Soap gets to the church. He gets knocked out by some guy. Which Call of Duty loves this move. He gets knocked out, then he gets saved by Ghost. This happens in Black Ops 6 when we get saved as Case by Marshall. But you know what? When Black Ops does it, it's fun, and the game's fun, and the story's awesome, and it makes sense. Here it's just like, oh, okay, we're doing this bullshit again. I'm so bored by what's happening. I'm so pulled out of like playing like what's happening in the game that when shit like this happens, it's like, oh, here we go. This is happening again. Oh, yep, another one of these moments. It's like, it's not fun. It's not exciting. It's just kind of like rote and played out because there's nothing else to keep me engaged in this. Like, I'm like completely checked out while I was trying to play this game. Anyway, so Soap and Ghost hop into a truck, and then we kill our way out of there. And at this point, it kind of like dawns on me. Get ready for it, gents. It's another off-tangent rant about these fucking games. This one's way off-tangent, but I think it's important. I kind of broached the subject in previous episodes of my Black Ops timeline, which these fall under, unfortunately. How like rank in these games doesn't make any fucking sense. Like Woods being a sergeant for like 40 years, and then and even Sims being a captain, which makes a little bit more sense. The more I thought about it, it's like not as crazy because you can be a 40-year-old captain. Like I know people who are 40-year-old captains in the army, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense. That's usually like medical people, right? Like I knew like a 60-year-old captain who was in the National Guard, right? Like, but not like an active duty Marine who's downrange on like a deployment, who was like a staff sergeant in like the 70s, and now it's like the early 90s. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But whatever. That's not the worst thing. And that's the thing. The Woods is like a glaring example. A lot of that World War II stuff, it's like they just seem to not understand how ranks function at all in those games. But I was sitting here, and he keeps calling Ghost LT. LT, for those of you who are unaware, is lieutenant, or lieutenant, if you're British. And it's a pretty early rank. It's like the first officer rank for everything but like naval units, where it's ensign and then lieutenant. But SAS it's built like in the U.S. Army. So lieutenant is like the lowest officer rank. All right. Now. And then Captain, which Captain Price, right? So I'm trying to gather my mind around this. A lieutenant, so in the Navy, a lieutenant is like equal to a captain. A captain's like the third level of like the second. It's going to be the second or third level of like an officer ranking, depending on the country. In America and general NATO countries, it's the third. So there's like lieutenant, second lieutenant, captain. And then for the SAS, which these guys belong to, all four of them, Gaz, Soap, Price, Ghost, are all SAS. Lieutenant is the first and second rank, just like in the American Army, and then captain's the third rank. Now, this is important to know because I'm gonna school you on how this fucking promotion system works. Now, one thing to note is that you will see captains who are old men who are active duty, but they are in the Navy. A captain in the Navy is the equivalent of like a colonel in the Army. They're like the 7th level, right before general or admiral. Okay, so now I dug into this. I fucking literally, I was like, is the SAS just different than everyone else? Do they just have different ranks? Whatever. I know this is supposed to be like a multinational, international like coalition, this Task Force 141, but that's not how this fucking works. So I dug into it. I dug into how everything's going on, and I'm going to walk through this for each character, because none of them make sense. Ghost could, but that's because Ghost is so mysterious. But let's start with Soap. So Soap is a sergeant at this point in the game, right? The year is 2022. We know, based on all the information that I could gather, and I didn't just like go back in my videos that I recorded. I went down into like the deep lore. I like fucking dug through the fandom, dug through the wikis, fucking went to DeepSeek, had this DeepSeek search this shit out. And what I found is that around the age of 18, 19 years old, Soap enlisted, and then he like immediately went into SAS. What do you call it? Selection, which is not unusual. You can be a Green Beret at the age of 18 in the United States Army. You probably aren't going to be it, but you can enlist. You can enlist as a 17-year-old as an 18 X-ray, which is the training. It's like the cadet, the enlisted cadet. Cadet's like an officer thing, but it's like it's like the enlisted rank that's training to be a Green Beret. Okay, so he could be a Green Beret. He could be an SAS enlisted guy, a private, at the age of like 18. All right, and then we find out that he's gone to all these qualifications. He's like sniper qualified, dive qualified. He's fucking like EOD qualified, which is explosive ordnance disposal. He is the youngest person to ever qualify, to ever get through selection for SAS. All right, so let's just say, because I saw this somewhere, that it's like 2014 when this happens. All right, so in 2014, he comes into the SAS as a private. Okay, passes selection, all that good stuff. Now, in all militaries, there's like a time frame when like you just kind of promote up to different ranks. And if you don't, they kick you the fuck out, right? Unless you're like in the National Guard or whatever. So if your cousin who's like 47 years old has been a specialist for 45 years, it's because he's in the Guard. Right, because they don't do that. But we're talking active duty. They promote or you get the fuck out because it's based on merit. Now these special operation units like Green Berets, Delta Force, SEAL, SAS, they are very meritorious based rankings. So if you're fucking good, you rank up real goddamn fast. Like I know dudes who are like master sergeants, which is the second highest enlisted rank, who are like 28 years old, who are Green Berets because they're so fucking good at their job. Right. Okay. Also in the U.S. Army, by the way, when you make when you get through selection, you automatically promote to sergeant, right? In the SAS, it doesn't seem like that's how it goes. It seems you just, whatever you come in as, that's what you're at, whether you're a special, or whether you're a private, corporal, lance corporal, or sergeant. All right. Oh my gosh. So besides this, Soap speaks English, Russian, and Spanish fluently. All right. So digging all this stuff up from like the sites I could find about the SAS, the average, I mean, the first time you're eligible to promote from private to lance corporal, which is the second level, is 3 to 6 weeks. Then from lance corporal to corporal is 6 to 8 weeks. Corporal to sergeant is 12 to 15 weeks. And sergeant to color sergeant or staff sergeant is 3 to 6 weeks. And then after that, it's 9 weeks to make warrant officer. And then 9 weeks from rank 2, and then 9 weeks to warrant officer rank 1. That means, hypothetically speaking, the fastest an individual could promote from private all the way up to warrant officer 1 would be 42 weeks, which is like 2 fucking years. All right? It's less than 2 years. Then I was looking some more and I found average times when people blink up. And it's like, and again, everything I read is like, it's totally based on merit. Totally based on merit. Soap is one of the greatest SAS individuals of all time, according to the fucking game, according to the lore. All right, so average times to rank up are 2 to 4 years from private to lance corporal, 2 to 3 years to corporal, 3 to 5 years to sergeant, 4 to 6 years to color sergeant. All right, that's as far as we need to go. So if Soap came in at 2014, now it's 2022, that is 8 years, which puts him right in the middle range to be a sergeant, right? So if we're doing like 3 years to lance corporal, 2.5 years to corporal, and then 4 years to sergeant, that's right about that 8-year time frame, right? Which is like, okay, so he could be a sergeant. That makes that is like, okay, that's allowable. But again, it's promotions are based on merit, and he is the best of the best. He's so good. They dragged him out to this Task Force 141. He's at all these prior missions, all these awards. He's got like the fucking Medal of Honor from the Queen herself, and he's still just a sergeant. So he's promoting purely in the average range. Like if he's even hitting those lower ends of the average range, he would be a color sergeant or staff sergeant at this point. But whatever. All right. So it's like, okay, he can be a sergeant. But if you look at Gaz enlisted in 2008. That's 6 years before Soap. This motherfucker has been at SAS for 14 years. If he was ranking up as the very average, he would be a color sergeant or a staff sergeant. I saw both, so I don't know what they call it. I didn't want to dig into it any further. But likely because of his ability and his merit and all the awards he's gotten and how he's been so successful and done everything, he would be a warrant officer. But in the game, he is a sergeant, and he's been a sergeant for 9 fucking years. Like, what the fuck? You know, if you're a sergeant at 15 years in the Army, they kick you the fuck out. Not that you've been a sergeant for 15 years. If you've been in the military for 15 years and you have not ranked past the rank of sergeant, they kick you the fuck out because you're not competent enough to get merit-based promotions. Just throwing that out there. All right. This stuff drives me nuts. Now let's talk about the officers. So again, with special forces, for example, a buddy of mine, he was a captain. He qualified he passed selection, got through, made Green Beret. He stayed a captain. Okay, right. But promotions are purely based on merit and capability, right? Because that's what they want in these specialized fields. They want the best people doing the best job. They're not going to just rank you up automatically like they do in like the regular military. All right. So what I found is that you can start off as a second lieutenant. So Ghost and Price, they went to college, they got their degree, they come in, they're second lieutenants. Second to first lieutenant is 2 to 3 years. First lieutenant to captain is 3 to 5 years. Captain to major is 5 to 7 years. Major to lieutenant colonel is 7 to 10 years. And then colonel is 10 years after that, right? So you're looking at like 20 years roughly where you're going to, if you're very good, you will be a colonel in the SAS, right? So Ghost is way more tougher to kind of figure out because there's no info. There's no like he joined here. We have like nothing on Ghost, which is why he's Ghost, right? All we know is that in 2019, when he was handpicked by Price to join Task Force 141, he was a lieutenant. Okay, so he could literally be like 23 years old. He could be the youngest person on this team. We know he's not because at some point someone mentions that Soap is the youngest person, right? So we have to assume he's at least as old as Soap, which if we go back, if Soap was 19 in 2014 and now it's 2022, which is 8 years, that means he's 26 years old at the youngest. So that means Ghost is going to be 26 or 27 years. Now the average college student graduates in their 20th or 21st year. So we'll do 21. We'll give the benefit of the doubt to the writers. So at 21 years, he's now 26 at the youngest. That is 5 years. So then we go back, and in 5 years, he should be a fucking captain. Just based on, well, let's see. So average. So he would go from second lieutenant. So if he's second lieutenant at the age of 21, and if we just do right down the middle, if he's just a completely average person with no merits, no reason to pull him onto Task Force 141, not the best sniper in the whole goddamn world, he would have promoted to first lieutenant at 2.5 years. All right. And then in 4 years, so 6.5 years. Okay. So in 6.5 years is the pure average of when he should be. So if he's 26, 27, he should be captain. Okay. Fucking period. He should be a captain. Or he should be right for promotion. And guess what? In the next game, he's still a fucking lieutenant. So he kind of gets a pass. Like, I would say he should be a captain. Period. Because if we just go with the low end of the average ages of rank up, that's 5 years. And if he graduated, so he's 21 and we say he's 26, that is exactly 5 years. So that's another thing where it's like, okay, I can kind of give him a pass here, but when he's still a fucking lieutenant in the next game, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Or is his first name Lieutenant? Is his name Lieutenant Ghost? That's his literal fucking name. No, it's Riley. Goddamn fucking game. All right. Price is the biggest offender. All right. Anyway. All right. So, okay, I already covered all this shit. So unless he's a piece of shit, he should be a captain. Period. If not, a fucking major. But okay, so I'll give Ghost is the only one. Ghost and Soap kind of get a pass because they're like right on the edge there where it's like, well, if they were pieces of shit or they got held back in a ring because they sassed somebody too hard, like I could justify it. The lore does not. But I could sit down and with the lore currently as is, I could write like a couple sentences and like a Wikipedia page that would like justify them not ranking up like they should be. They're just too wild, right? They don't have leadership material. They gotta like show that they're willing to take orders and not do whatever the fuck they want, right? There's ways you could justify that. Gaz is unacceptable. He should be at least staff sergeant, not warrant officer, period. Because he was like playing by the book all the way up to 2019, which means he should have been a staff sergeant then, and he should be a warrant officer by the time Modern Warfare 2 rolls up. Anyway. So Price joined him when he was 16 fucking years old. He's the youngest person to ever graduate the military academy. And he made captain in 2011. So he's been a fucking captain for 11 years. Let's roll on back. Okay, so if he made a captain in 2011 and it's now 2022, so the average rank up to major is 6 years, right? And then to major lieutenant colonel is 8 years. So that puts him at 14 years. Wait, 6 years plus 8. Yeah. So 14 years to make lieutenant colonel if he's a piece of shit. But we know he's not a piece of shit. So then let's go on the lower end of the average range, which takes it to 12 years. So in 12 years from 2011, he should be a lieutenant colonel, which is fine. Oh no, 12 years. Yeah, in 12 years. 2011 is now 2020. Okay, so he should be a major on the brink of becoming a lieutenant colonel, which means in Modern Warfare 3 he should be a fucking lieutenant colonel, if not already. And this, again, we're taking this on like these guys are average Joe SAS officers. They're just the run-of-the-mill guys who are like showing up, doing their job, cheating on their wives, all that bullshit, right? If you've been a captain for 11 goddamn years, they will kick your ass out. Again, he should be a major, and then he should be making lieutenant colonel before Modern Warfare 3 starts. That is how this fucking thing should work. It is so fucking retarded. If you just look, this took me like, I was like sitting in church on my fucking phone, Googling this shit. Like this is, I didn't like, this is like an autistic rant. I'll give you that. But this is like, this stuff pisses me off so much because it's like, the fuck are you talking about? Anyway. Off my soapbox. And then back to this goddamn story. Okay, where are we? Oh yeah, okay. So, Color Sergeant McTavish and Captain Riley, aka Ghost, head to Vargas' safe house. They, hey, it's Rodolfo. He's back. I haven't seen that kind of motherfucker in a while. But he's there, and he's a sergeant major, as he should be, which makes sense. Anyway, they just he's just the three of them versus the whole world. Yes, the whole world. Also, they have no reason, no clue about the betrayal. They can't call the Mexican army because, I don't know, there's no reason why they can't. One thing's for certain, though, they're going to go and get the last Vaqueros out. They're going to go get Delta Force out of this PMC black site area. So they go to this black site prison that Shadow Company is running. So they're running a prison, and they took a base over, all in Mexico, because the government gave them a high five. Nope, they just did it. No, there's no indication at all that any of this is sanctioned or anything, because fuck these riders. And we kill our way to this tower, then we get into the prison, we kill some more. There's a part where Soap guides Ghost in planting charges while Rodolfo searches for Vargas. Once he finds him, we kill our way to his cell, and then he almost kills Soap until he's like, oh, Soap, I'm sorry, brother. And it's like, no problem. And then Ghost is like, Johnny. He loves saying that. We kill some more, rescue some more of the unit, kill some more. We're about to leave the prison. We're killing some more, and then a chopper shows up. And choppers in the Modern Warfare games are actually dangerous, unlike the Black Ops games. So everyone's like, oh, fuck. And it starts to rain the pain down when Lieutenant Colonel Price shows up with a rocket launcher and blows the shit out of it. We then kill our way to Lieutenant Colonel Price and Warrant Officer Garrick. This fucking game. Anyway, then we're all hanging out up high. We're watching Los Vaqueros flee the prison. And then Vargas and Rodolfo, everyone hugs it out, and they go with their team. And then the main team stands around and discusses the betrayal. Eventually, Laswell is able to girl boss her way to the answer to why Shepard and Shadow Company betrayed us. And that is the reason why is because they were the ones who were delivering the missiles to their allies in Al Mazrah that got captured by Hassan and the Iranians. We then get a flashback episode, chapter, whatever these things are called. So like 2 months before this whole thing went down. This is after Ghost killed the one guy putting Hassan in charge, but before any of this, the rest of the game started. We play as Diapolo, my poor Italian brother who gets murked in this real fast in this very short flashback. They're driving, they're covering the trucks with the missiles. They get caught in like the most obvious ambush they could ever possibly imagine. Him and his company get blown the fuck up in the ambush. He wakes up, he sees a guy, he tries to call Graves, and then he gets killed. Shepard and Graves then talk. We hear like the radio chatter about how it was the Russians who got the missiles, and it was specifically the Konni group, which will be super important for the next game. So there you go. This is where they're at. Who then sold them over to Hassan, because fuck Shepard. That's why. That's literally the reason why. I'm not even just saying that. Like, sometimes the game just does stuff, and it's like, let's fuck that guy. But no, this is literally, they're like, Konni sold them to Hassan because they hated Shepard. And it's like, what the fuck did Shepard do to these guys? And we find out later how that's related. But in this game, it's just like, what? Because in this game, it's just some random fucking Russian PMCs go out of their way to fuck over some U.S. general that they hardly know. It does make sense, but it doesn't make sense until the next game. But it's right now, if you'd played this and you had to wait like a year or two until the next one came out, you'd be like, well, this is stupid. This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so we apparently were getting too close to the answers, and they still don't have all the missiles, so they have to betray us. All right. Because the shipment was off the books. And again, I'm sitting there. And I'm like, motherfuckers, everything we do is off the books. And it just reminds me again of Cold War and how awesome it was. And how Woods and Alex and Adler are just like, what? Like, it's like when you watch those old, like, bad comedies, and it's like they're having a conversation, and it, like, screeches over to somebody else, and they're like, the fuck you say? Like, everything we do is off the books. Except kill Hassan. They took over 2 Mexican bases, army bases, like a black site prison, and this other thing. They didn't have authority to do that. That's illegal. But they have to kill people because they were going to sell legal missiles? The fuck? No one cares. America sells legal missiles to people all the time. What do you think that weapons dump in Ukraine was? That was hardly legal. That's some all bullshit. Lord, give me strength. Well, that's how it is, it goes, I guess. That's the motivation for betrayal. It's ass. If you played the original Modern Warfare games, the betrayal, the reason for the betrayal, Shepard's character, it's like 1,000 times better. This game is so ass. Whatever. Got bills to pay. So we got one more missile to find. Price calls Shepard. They argue about nothing, like little bitches. Neither of them has a good point. Neither of them really gets anything across. Then the crew discusses how they got to go assault the Los Vaqueros base to get Valeria back and to kill Graves. Then we get this like real silly kind of part. So I thought Vargas and Rodolfo were like going to go with their people and be gone, but now they're back. And they have this whole thing where Ghost, we don't see his face, but Ghost takes off his mask and he's like, he hands out masks to everybody and he's like, hey brothers, we're going to go in there and we're all going to be Ghost up. And this is, you're going to be in a lot of danger and this is like totally illegal. And again, I'm like, everything we've done in this game has been fucking illegal. Like, why is it, why does it only matter when like the writers think it matters? Like, it's just to push the plot forward. We literally snuck into Spain to kill a bunch of citizens of Spain. For as far as we know, we never identified anybody. Like, they're speaking Spanish. It must be the Mexican cartel. Racist. Right? Like, and the whole reason Laswell came was because what we were doing was illegal, and she needed to, like, I don't know, get caught. God damn this game. Anyway, so he hands out a bunch of ghost masks. We're all going to commit, and it's supposed to be like a powerful moment, and it was ass. And it made me sad because it's like Ghost is excellent, and I saw what he was trying to do here, and I respect it. But the game does not. The rest of the game does not cover down for that at all. So we split up into 2 teams. One's gonna go get Valeria, and the other one's gonna go kill Graves. So off we go. So we switch between Gaz and Soap for this one. The assault goes well. We kill, get a helicopter, kill, silent kill, secure Valeria, kill. Price gets shot down. Ghost goes to help him. Soap keeps killing. Finally, Graves throws out in a tank, and Soap and Rodolfo blow it up. Then Graves is presumed dead, but they don't check. They never check in these games. Literally, they never check. There's no reason to check. They're probably not dead. I'm trying to remember if the Black Ops ever did this shit. No, I think they always confirmed. Yeah, they always confirmed kills. So only in Modern Warfare, in the last 2 games, we just like, oh, they're probably dead. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Not important. Stupid as shit. Anyway, you should always go back and check. Finally, they like get Valeria to tell them that the last missile is in Chicago. So Task Force 141 for the 3rd time says their goodbyes to their Mexican brothers, and heads out. They head to Chicago. And here, the plan is to split up. Ghost is going to be on Overwatch because that's what he does. Gaz, with, who? Gaz is going to go with somebody into a basement of like this building where the missile's supposed to be at. So they found this building. Laswell found this building where everything's supposed to be at. Gaz is going to do Overwatch. Oh no, Ghost is going to do Overwatch. Gaz is going to go with the Marines, if I remember correctly. I wrote Nasties, but I think it's supposed to be Marines, into the basement and go up. And then Price and Soap are going to helicopter onto the roof and go down to find the missile. And then they're like, oh, Hassan's probably in the server room on the 54th floor. Sure, why not? So anyway, we have execution authority on Hassan. What the fuck? Finally, now we can kill him. Fuck that guy. How about we just execute authority on him originally by just doing it? I don't want to get into it. This is almost over. I just want to be done with this fucking video. All right. That's like too much, man. So time to roll out. The level moves pretty quick, which is it's so nice. Soap and Price repel down to the server floor. They kill, rescue some hostages. Hassan's not there. We repel down again. We kill some more guys. They're shooting at us. We crash back in. The missile gets launched. And then Soap and Price regroup with Gaz and the Marines. We find the room where Hassan's at before he can breach. He blows the door off, makes a run for it. Price is injured because he's a bitch. Soap and Gaz head off to Hassan. We head to the elevator, which I much prefer because Gaz is one of the best characters in this game. We head to the elevator bank, jump around in the elevator bank till Soap falls on Hassan, and then he loses his gun, but he gets the controls for the missile. Which Laswell finally identifies as heading to the Pentagon. The reason I'm slowing down is because now we are back to that thing I mentioned before, the crafting mission at the end of the game. So literally once again, Soap falls, loses his weapon, and then has to sneak around and use crafting mechanics instead of just fucking a dude up and taking his gun. Jesus, give me strength. Okay. And unfortunately, instead of just letting the missile hit the Pentagon like it deserves, we decide we're going to stop it. So Hassan and his men, they chase us around. Laszlo talks Soap, even though he's like an EOD expert and all this stuff, she has to girl boss and mommy him so that he can understand how to turn this fucking missile thing off. This doesn't make any sense. Nothing ever makes sense. What's his name? Hill versus Babyface say, make it make sense. At some point, Hassan has this epic rant about the decadence of the West and how America is a bunch of assholes, and all I could do was slow clap. If you can hear it in the background, because it's facts. America is a bunch of assholes. Eventually, Soap finds a safe place to go through this like mini game to take control of the missile and then detonate it. And looks like the Pentagon's going to go ahead and keep losing America trillions of dollars every year without any accountability. Unfortunate. But, none of these guys are American. They don't give a fuck. Now we get to follow... we get more of the crafting game minigame. Eventually, as we kill all of Hassan's men, he grabs Soap and beats him up. Beats him real good. He's about to throw him from the building. And at that point, we take over as Ghost, so Ghost can do what he does best, and that's shoot motherfuckers in the head from far away. It's kind of poetic, to be completely honest. I don't know if it's intentional or not, because I just can't believe the writers in this game have like any capability of writing anything decently. So Ghost starts the game by shooting the prayer head of this Iranian force, and he ends the game by also shooting the head of the Iranian force. Poetic justice, I guess. And at that point, that's the end of the game for the playing part. So now we get more stories. So a bit later, we join Laswell as she's watching some news spew propaganda about the missile explosion, like literal propaganda, not like secret propaganda, like in real life. No, like actual, like, oh, there was like a weather balloon or something. That's right, electrical surge. Price wanders up. They chit-chat about all the shit that happened in the game. He wants to get Shepard. Shepard's disappeared. Besides, we have to really worry about the Russians who stole the missile in the first place. Told you they'd come back. They're the bigger threat. They're being led by someone new, someone the CIA doesn't know, someone nobody knows. They're so secret that no one knows who they are. And then Laswell hands over a picture to Price, who has this like look on his face. The animations on this are actually pretty good for these 3D models, not gonna lie. And then he passes it off to everybody else, and then Price is like, I know him. Makarov. Oh no. That is so sad. I love Makarov. He's such a good villain. They're totally gonna fuck him up. Fucked up Shepard, fucked up Price. Graves is new, that's fine, he can stick around. I mean, they do a good job with Gaz. The thing is, they've done a good job with the antagonists, but always like these secondary antagonists, like Diego and like Hadir. Makarov, I just don't have any faith that they're not gonna fuck it up because they were so bad, and he's actually like a character. God damn it. Just spit all over the good games. So the game continues. So the story continues. We then head to like a Russian plane that's headed somewhere. A guy orders a salad, and then he starts pulling gun parts out of his body, and not like out of his body, but like of his clothes. And there's like a magazine under the salad, and he constructs this like 3D printed gun or whatever. He thinks it's a text from Makarov, and it's saying ready, and then he texts back and says ready, and then Makarov texts back, no Russians. Christ Almighty. If you know, you know. Jesus Christ. They can't just leave alone. They can't just leave one of them alone. Just make another game with new characters. I don't understand. But that's the end. That's the end of our Modern Warfare 2 journey. And that was the good one. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you in 2 weeks for Modern Warfare 3. Adios.